Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to another episode of Pod Snipe Celly, brought to you by Noob Sports and the Sports 2.0 Network. My name is Dan Bradley. Joel Fernino is in mourning over the Patrick Kane trade, so he won't be joining us tonight. So, how she goes, is what it is. But in Joel's place, we have... I can't even... See, we kick Joel out, and then the show just goes completely off the rails a minute and 10 seconds into the show. But we have the one and only Nate HP joining us tonight. HP, been a while. I don't think we've had you on since our fantasy draft show.
That is correct. Our fantasy draft show. It's the very beginning of the season.
Do I dare ask how your fantasy team is doing?
You can, and it's not great. I actually was like 500 with our one league, the All Have Lat League, or the Fourth Liners League, and then lost like 6 in a row. So not great there. Not great. And then the other one's not doing very well.
Yeah, that league is kind of all over the place. There's one division that, first and fourth are separated by 3 games this late in the year. I mean, that could be anybody. But the good news for us is that that's Joel in fourth in that one. So
that's right.
So we're going to just take some cheap shots at Joel tonight while he's not here. He'll be joining in the comments.
Many cheap shots. Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and start recapping some of the NHL trade deadline. For those who have been under a rock the last couple weeks, this has been just one of the most bonkers trade deadlines in recent memory, just in terms of the volume of players and pieces that have been moved, the creative ways that teams have pulled together the trades. We talked about the Rangers getting Tarasenko, Kane, Nico Mikkola, Tyler Mott, Cooper Zek, moving out a bunch of pieces. The Bruins adding Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway, Tyler Bertuzzi. They were able to get an 8-year extension done with David Pastrnak. The Devils adding Timo Meier, Jonathan Quick going from the Kings to Columbus, and then back out west and going to Vegas. The Leafs loading up with O'Reilly, Achari, McCabe, Lafferty, Gustafson, Shen. And on top of all of that, you have the Ottawa Senators landing Jacob Chikrin. HP, this has just been absolutely insane. Oh, no. Did we lose HP now, too?
You might have.
Okay, we had you frozen for a second, but you're back now.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Like I said, I'm running through technical difficulties. My laptop decided not to show up to work today, so
great. Well, neither did Joel.
The old iPad. Yeah.
So many cheap shots already. Oh boy, I think we lost HP again. I guess until we get HP back. Oh, maybe.
Well, am I back now?
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
I might just as well blame StreamYard as well. I don't think it's all on you here.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm all right with that. I'm going to try and kick it up on my laptop too, just in case things go extra sideways.
Yeah, StreamYard can be finicky, so hopefully we get that figured out.
Okay, sweet.
But yeah, give us some kind of thoughts on the trade deadline, the deals that went down, the deals that surprised you, and then really just kind of your take on where this sets things up for the rest of the season moving forward.
So I think Boston did an incredible job at the deadline. I didn't even think they were going to make a move just because their team chemistry was so good to begin with. Like, why mess with it? Mm-hmm. But then somehow they just went out and got better, even better. Adding Orlov and Hathaway. Orlov already has, 4 or 5 goals for him or something like that?
Yeah, he potted like 4 goals in his first 6 games there or something.
Yeah, I don't have the stats in front of me, but yeah. And then I'm not sure what has Hathaway done anything for him. Anyway.
He's contributed. I don't know how much it's shown up on the score sheet. I don't have that number in front of me. But I know that he's both of those players, Hathaway and Orlov, really just perfect fits for the Capitals across the board. Just real, the type of players that you don't want to mess with and don't want to get into it with. 2 assists through 5 games for Hathaway, by the way.
Oh, sure. All right. And then adding Tyler Bertuzzi too, just as an extra bruiser and can do everything. Like, what's not to love about that if you're a Bruins fan? I know Joel hates Bruins fans, but I mean, get on the wagon now while you can.
Yeah, I mean the Bruins are built for playoff hockey.
Oh yeah,
The element of physicality that they bring, the dominant offense where anybody can contribute on any given night. They're not leaning too heavily on one line or on one score. They're having just outstanding goaltending this year as well. Linus Ullmark is your Vezina favorite by a long, long ways. It's his to lose at this point.
I know.
Frankly, Cup is Boston's to lose at this point as well.
I was just going to say, you said that in our group chat and said it's Boston's cup to lose, and it is. And I don't think Carolina did enough to be better than Boston. I think their GM came out and said, no, we're good enough as it is. And I don't think that's true. They're not as deep as Boston. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not Boston good.
Yeah, Carolina, to me, you can count on one hand the number of teams that really have a shot at going toe-to-toe with Boston as the playoffs move forward. I think
they're all
the
out
Rangers
east.
Almost. I'll give a healthy Colorado a shot.
Yeah,
but other than that,
I'll give a healthy Colorado a shot. But anyone else, it's just going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, Carolina. I have some concerns about their ability to, where are the goals going to come from when you go against a defense like Boston. We've seen some playoff series in recent years where the physical play, Carolina hasn't been able to match Boston in terms of the physical presence that the Bruins bring. And even the Rangers with their moves of going out, they got their goal scoring with Tarasenko. They got their setup guy with Patrick Kane. But the team defense as a whole for the Rangers, I don't think can totally slow down that Boston team enough to hold serve.
No. Yeah, Adam Fox and Keandre Miller is not enough to slow Boston down on it by themselves. And Shesterkin hasn't looked as good as he has last year. Looked as good as he did last year. So
yeah,
he's not going to cut it.
Historically good last year, and we knew we were going to see some regression this year to a little bit more of the mean, but I don't think we saw it coming to this degree.
Yep,
with Shesterkin. Was really with all the moves, and then it's okay. New Jersey is adding Meyer. Even Toronto. I think Toronto is in decent shape. Their goaltending still scares me.
Is Campbell still their starter? Is that right?
Who?
Campbell? No.
No. Campbell's with Edmonton. It's Samsonov and Murray.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's not a great goalie tandem to have going into the playoffs.
I'm a little worried about that group.
Yeah.
They beefed up the blue line at the trade deadline. They added Jake McCabe. They added Eric Gustafsson. They got Ryan O'Reilly, who injured. He's going to be out for a little while. They actually put him on long-term injured reserve today.
Yeah, that sucks.
But again, when healthy, that is an absolute force up the middle at both ends of the ice. You get one of the best defensive forwards in the game to kind of help round things out. Oh, and he's capable of putting the puck in the net. Won a cup with St. Louis just a couple of years ago. I think realistically, Toronto maybe has a shot to catch Boston. Carolina maybe has a shot. Healthy Colorado, to me, is the only team that really, I think, could go a 7-game series with Boston and make things close.
Yes. Yep, I would agree. I think Colorado, a healthy Colorado, is going to give Boston the best run for its money. I think Boston will walk through the Eastern Conference.
Switching over to the Western Conference for a minute, Nashville in absolute fire sale mode. Moving our boy Nino Niederreiter to the Winnipeg Jets, moving our other boy, Mikhail Granlund, to Pittsburgh, moving Matthias Ekholm to Edmonton, Tanner Janot to Tampa Bay. The GM will be stepping down at the end of the year. Barry Trotz moving in. I really didn't see any of this coming from Nashville to basically just kind of hit the on-the-fly rebuild, get as much as you can, and try and swing for the fences at the draft type of move that we're seeing from Nashville.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming either. Sending their maybe not their core, but their solid guys just fire sailing them.
I mean, that's a
And
good chunk of their top six for sure.
right.
The
Granlund
middle
going back
six,
to
maybe.
be with Zucker in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's fun. Hate to see Niederreiter playing against us in the division. They fleeced Tampa Bay for that.
They got
What'd
a
they get?
lot of picks.
4 picks, including a first round and second round.
Yeah, just insane.
How many goals did he have all year?
Like 6, not a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say not a lot.
Yeah, it's been really an interesting trade deadline, especially for Nashville. And as you go ahead and take a look at their situation going forward, following all of these trades, Nashville has 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, 3 third rounders, 3 fourth rounders, and 2 fifth rounders in this draft alone. So if you're trying to throw as many darts as you can in one of the deepest drafts in a long time, pretty good for Nashville to try and account for all of that. So they have Edmonton's first, they have Pittsburgh's second, they have third rounders from San Jose and Tampa Bay, fourth rounders from Tampa Bay and Toronto, and then a fifth rounder from Tampa Bay all this year. They have 3 second rounders next year. And then they have a top 10 protected first from Tampa Bay in 2025, which, I mean, it could happen. Life comes at you fast in the NHL. Things can really drop off in a hurry, but I can't see that Tampa pick being in the top 10.
No.
That would be a steep drop off for the Lightning.
Oh, I'm back.
There you go. Yep.
Sorry. Again, technical issues. Sorry, folks.
It happens. We're doing the best we can tonight.
We're tweeting through it.
Yeah, doing as much as we can.
Just kidding. We're not tweeting, but.
So other than Boston, HP, who are your biggest trade deadline winners?
I'm going to go with the homer pick, the Wild. I think Billy G is a guy out to hold the real cup instead of the plastic one that he held with you. Like I sent you guys a picture.
I've got that in the slides here somewhere.
Do you?
See if I can find it. Yeah.
I think they won.
So here's the cup. We'll get that up. I don't know if I have the picture with Billy though. Let me take a quick peek and look for that one. Doesn't look like it, but yeah. So got the cup, got the picture with Billy G. And to HP's point about the Minnesota Wild, going out and getting defenseman John Klingberg from the Anaheim Ducks, going out and getting Gustav Nyquist, kind of playing the role of broker for some of the other teams along the way. So retaining salary in the Orlov deal to Boston, retaining some salary in the O'Reilly trade with Toronto, and then using those picks to go out and get Nyquist in there as well, and to go and get Marcus Johansson. Just all sorts of moving parts for the Wild, but really, I think more hits than misses for Billy G.
Oh yeah, am I back now? Sorry.
Yep.
Went screwy again. Okay. Yeah. Did you see what I think Wild Takes from 10K tweeted it, the story about him and Pat Verbeek?
So funny. So for those who missed this one, Billy Guerin and Verbeek are Verbeek is the GM for the Ducks. Apparently, they were trying to negotiate some sort of a trade for Klingberg, and the Ducks weren't too thrilled with Minnesota's offer, and eventually said, "You know what? I think we'll just hang on to Klingberg." And Billy says, "Okay, sure you will," and hangs up on him. And then in the waning hours of the trade deadline, Anaheim called Billy G back and says, "Okay, let's try this one more time. Klingberg, and then you throw in the rights to Nikita Nesterenko, and you got a deal." And Billy says, "Done."
And we weren't. And he wasn't even planning to sign would you say, Nestorenko?
Yeah, Nestorenko. Yeah, he wasn't planning to sign Nestorenko. There wasn't really an organizational fit for him here. It didn't sound like he wanted to sign a deal here. So basically, just able to move a guy, that wasn't going to play here anyway, to get someone who will play here and is playing here already with Minnesota, and playing pretty well at that.
Pretty well. He's +3, and I think he had an assist taken away from him because Eck got the goal instead of
He got the assist. They changed the goal, but it was going to be.
Yeah. They changed the goal. Okay, but he got the assist. So yeah, he's being effective here, and I know I saw Brett Marshall tweet that he's been like the worst defenseman all season, but he's been playing for Anaheim.
Bad, but yeah, how much of that is Anaheim versus how much of that is his own game, but. Going from a team that is competing for a top 5, if not top 3 pick, to a team that is competing in the Western Conference, a team that is kind of surging up the standings lately, and to get right back into that playoff mix, that can kind of change your game up a bit. And I think we saw that with Orlov too, where getting more involved offensively. Orlov for Boston is such a perfect. He's such a Boston defenseman. And as soon as I saw that one went through, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, Boston is, like we said earlier.
Business.
They didn't need to do it, but they did it, and they're going to be better for it.
Right. Yeah, so I think a sneaky win is the Senators getting Chychrun. No one saw that coming. But I think
out of nowhere.
I think that's going to be a good ad for the Senators because they're fighting for. Are they in the playoff? They have a playoff spot right now, or are they fighting for? Well, they're still fighting for one.
Let me get the standings page.
I have nothing in front of me. My technology has decided to kaput. So
you're all good. So Ottawa is out of the playoffs right now, but for that last playoff spot, there are 5 teams within 3 points of each other for that spot. So it's anybody's. Yeah. Anybody's got a shot at that one pretty much. And then you look at how that allows them to build for the future around Sanderson, Shabbat, and now you add Chychrun in that mix for your blue line core.
That's a solid top 3.
That's a stacked unit for your defenseman that you're going to be building around. And Ottawa, I like seeing that they're making some moves here to be competitive. We saw them go after Giroux in free agency. We saw them trade for Alex DeBrincat. They're making these moves to try and hold serve, but they also know that they're kind of looking up in the standings. You got Boston, Toronto, and Tampa Bay ahead of you. You got Buffalo that's looking better. You got the Detroit Red Wings hot on your heels. You got Florida, who is massively underperforming with the talent that they have on that roster.
Yep.
They're in a very, very competitive division, and you almost had to do it just to kind of keep things close.
Right. What else? Let's see who else got better at the deadline. Big deadline winners. Vegas getting Quick, I think, is a good move as well. I don't know if that's a big winner, but they needed a solid goaltender.
They did. I think it's fair to call them a winner. I think the St. Louis Blues, with the moves that they made of everybody that they shipped out to try and position themselves as well to kind of on the fly rebuild here. A couple of seasons removed from winning the Stanley Cup, and now it's okay. Well, how do we regroup and get everything back together with this next group? And knowing that Tarasenko probably wasn't going to re-sign, O'Reilly was going to be really tough to re-sign. Door still open there, but now you've moved some other pieces to kind of make a return a little more feasible. I think that was a good one as well. Before the Tyler Bertuzzi deal went through for Boston, I would have said the Rangers in going out and getting your wingers. But as soon as Boston went and added Bertuzzi into that mix, like it's done. Pack it up. That's tough. Let's take a look at the biggest losers now as well from the trade deadline. The moves that may have fallen apart, the moves that may have made you scratch your head a little bit. Who do you think were the biggest losers from the trade deadline this year?
Let's see. I'm going to say, I think I'm going to say Carolina, but
Okay.
I have a defense for that. I wouldn't call them the biggest loser, just because I don't, like I said before, I don't think they got enough better. They didn't get
Mhm.
they didn't they didn't arm up in the arms race in the East.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, Boston didn't need to go out and get those three, Bertuzzi, Hathaway, and Orlov. They didn't need to. I still think they would have walked their way to the Eastern Conference Finals. But Carolina didn't get anybody. Or they got Puljujarvi, who,
Mhm.
I mean, needed a change of scenery from Edmonton.
Right.
What did Edmonton do? I don't want to call them a loser until
They got Matthias Ekholm.
they got that home. So they got better on
So,
D,
they swapped Tyson Berry for Matthias Ekholm.
which they desperately needed some defense. I think they
Mhm.
still need a goalie to make a legitimate run.
Yeah, Stuart Skinner is starting to look better with Edmonton,
Right.
but still not, not an ideal situation there. And of course, Campbell has not been particularly good for Edmonton either. So
Right.
it's once again
Just
their big
because who else made big? Let's see. I gotta think about this. I didn't come prepared. Found out I was doing this an hour before the show.
It's all good. Yeah, you found out pretty quick. I'm gonna go ahead and throw.
And
it
I had
out
just
there
woken up from a nap.
If you want to take a look at the moves for a minute here, I can throw one out there in the meantime.
Yeah, throw one out there for me.
Yeah, one that I think was a really big miss was the Philadelphia Flyers, who
yes, there we go.
Again, kind of in that race for the bottom where they had some pieces that could be looking to move. They've got a roster that is not going to be particularly. I don't want to say they won't be competitive because they're still a tough team to play against, but it's not a team that is a true threat to win on any given night, especially in an absolutely loaded Eastern Conference. I look at James Van Riemsdyk, who is in the final year of his deal, as someone who the Flyers could have tried to move. And the big one for me was when Chuck Fletcher said they almost had a deal at the very end of the deadline, but they ran out of time to try and get the pieces together. It's like this date has been on the league calendar since before the start of the season. Like you knew that the trade deadline was coming and you couldn't get a deal done, before
for the one player you needed to ship
deadline.
out.
Right. And there are a couple others who could have been on the move as well. There was some talk of moving Kevin Hayes.
Yep.
Just knowing that his big contract. I thought maybe if you wanted to try and move Justin Braun, a defenseman who plays a lot of minutes, very steady throughout his career, and is only making $1 million this year in what may be his final season in the NHL. Maybe he's got one more. But there were certainly options for players to move, and the inability to get a deal done once again falls on Chuck Fletcher for not being able to get a deal done at the deadline. And Chuck Fletcher's deadline history, I mean, it's not good. So maybe dodged a bullet with not making a move, but it's like, come on, you got to try something here.
I love that thread you tweeted out of Chuck Fletcher's moves since 2012 or whatever it was.
It was since he started as GM with the Wild. So
okay, yeah.
It's
just
been a
the
while.
deadline. His deadline just blunders, just year after year.
The moves that have been good on that spectrum were really inconsequential in the long run, and the bad of those moves were really, really bad, setting the team back for several years in some cases with some of those moves. So I think for me, Philadelphia, one of the biggest losers at the deadline.
Yeah. The Coyotes. I know they shipped off Chikrin for a bunch of draft picks, but they're trying. I mean, you asked me and Joel what was the question? What's the bigger embarrassment? LTIR.
Oh yeah,
versus
the bigger
attempting to get to the cap floor.
Yeah, what's the worst embarrassment for the league in terms of cap circumvention? Teams like Tampa Bay, who used the long-term injured reserve to exceed the cap by a certain amount, and then get players back come playoff time. but you stockpile your roster to go. The cap is 83 million, and you've got teams, with 97 mil in the cap, but a lot of it's on long-term injured reserve.
Right.
Or is it Arizona, who is paying 56% of their team salary cap hit to players who are not on their roster, either via retention on trades or whether it is players who are effectively retired
Yep.
and just basically buried contracts to get to the cap floor, which is the worst look for the league. For me, it's Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I think Joel agreed too. It's Arizona. That's just I want to call it lazy, but it's not lazy because they're doing something to get to the cap floor because they're trying to rebuild. But also they're just waiting around for the draft to rebuild, which that's fine. But like, do something to get a halfway decent player in there and bring up your, pay the players that are actually.
I think we lost you for a second there. But yeah, pay the players who are producing for you and not just shipping them out. Yeah. That's you want to finish your point there, HP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got to remember what it was. Oh, they're not paying their players who are actually. They're not paying their players who are actually playing there. Like, like what do we do? Like they have some money on Kane. They have money on Kane. They got Delt Voracek, who's he's not retired, but he's not going to play.
He's probably not going to play again, and that's a $8.25 million cap hit on Voracek, $7.85 mil on Shea Weber, who's not playing again.
That's right, Shea Weber too.
They have retained salary on Patrick Kane for $2.62 million. Retained salary on Nick Bukestad for $450K. Retained salary on Oliver Ekman-Larsson for just shy of $1 million a year. It's ugly. Did
they retain on Gostisbehere too?
They did not. There's a limit to how many retained salary deals you can have, but otherwise they would have. It's just too,
just a horrible look.
Yeah,
so that's why
insane.
I call them a big loser at the deadline. But they're also just a loser in general. So
yeah, hopefully, with all of these picks that they have, it's something like Joel and I counted it up on the other week's show. 16, 20, 22 picks through the first 3 rounds in the next 3 drafts.
They still have Andrew Ladd on their books.
Yeah.
Through this season.
Last year of his deal.
And Brian Little, that name sounds familiar, but.
Yeah. Tons and tons of draft picks coming through. It's almost like Arizona has said, we're not going to be competitive at all while we're playing at Mullet Arena. We're going to wait until we can try and get this new stadium built. And then at the time that stadium opens, our young players will have had, 2-3 years removed from their draft. So they'll be just starting to enter their prime as we open the new arena. It seems like that's kind of the hope for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yo, it's HP. Yes, it is HP. We got HP filling in for Joel tonight.
Elkie.
Love that.
She's a big Sweden fan, so she's excited about Minnesota.
Oh yeah, all of these Swedish players just joining forces in Minnesota. The Swedish national team making its way to the state of hockey. HP, I don't know about you, but I am ready for some Wednesday night picks. And we were talking about this one before the show that you can look at the all-time record board there. You're our first returning guest that we've had on to do picks to get to make the second round of picks. Last week was not a good week for either Joel or me on making these picks. Joel went 2-4. I went 1-5. We had some really bad beats along the way too. We had both picked Anaheim to beat Washington. Washington won that game in overtime. We both picked the Coyotes for the bit. And then the Coyotes, I think, gave up an empty net goal that blew the cover of the plus 1.5. Just some really bad beats. So trying to get back into the win column. And of course, where else would we start but with Joel's Chicago Blackhawks? They're plus 1.5 goals tomorrow night, minus 130. At the Detroit Red Wings, minus 1.5 goals at plus 110. HP, who you got?
Oh man, this is tough. Detroit to win by 2. Oh man, Detroit hasn't been playing very well lately. If I'm correct on that, I mean not the worst, but not the best.
Yeah, they're on a six-game losing streak right now. 3-6-1 over their last 10, but kind of fading fast in a very competitive Atlantic division. They're 7th in that division. They would be in much better shape if they were in the Western Conference. No doubt about that. Just avoiding some of those juggernauts out there.
I'm going to pick Joel's Blackhawks plus 1.5 to cover, but I think Detroit wins, but only by 1.
Do you think it's going to be more of like a 2-1, 3-2 type of game, or are you thinking maybe more goals than that? Maybe looking like a 5-4 type of offensive night.
No, I think 2-1, 3-2 type of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be lower.
I don't see this as a high scoring affair. No, that was it. No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, especially following the Kane trade, following the Bertuzzi trade, there's some offensive punch that is lacking for both of these teams right now.
Exactly. That's
Khrushchev playing well for Chicago right now, but they
still have what's his name? Reichel up?
Lucas Reichel,
Lucas Reichel, yeah. Is he still playing off of the big club?
Ball up there. Yep. Yeah, I think he's probably going to get 6 games or so, and then get sent back down. Just in the hopes that the Rockford Ice Hogs will make the playoffs and he can get some experience there. But Rockford, the Central Division of the AHL is just so difficult to try and predict. And we've talked about it all year with AHL buttes where the Texas Stars have been really good. The Milwaukee Admirals have been really good. The Iowa Wild lost like 8-9 in a row, something like that, but they're starting to kind of figure it back out. Jesper Wallstedt there is kind of carrying that team right now.
How's Rossi doing down there? We haven't really heard anything on him.
Pretty close to a point per game pace with the Iowa Wild. So, kind of hanging around, but that team doesn't have enough offensive support behind Marco Rossi, Sammy Walker, Adam Beckman being called up to the Wild. I think kind of took the wind out of their sails a little bit too. And then they also moved Andre Schuster in one of the deals as well. So that kind of changes things up on their back end. They had Dakota Mermis called up for a hot minute as well. So I was kind of been all over the place, but yeah, he's back now. Yeah. Which I guess is a good segue into our next pick as well. We'll talk Minnesota here in just a minute. I'm going to go Detroit minus 1.5 in this one. Take the plus money. I think just overall they're a better team. And with the Hawks really trying to lock up that top 2 draft pick, they're the second worst team in the league by points right now. They do have 1 point separating them from San Jose and Anaheim, but a game in hand on San Jose. And I think by virtue of regulation wins, that could really get close. Chicago and San Jose both have 14 regulation wins, which is the first tiebreaker. Anaheim has 11. So, there's a definite chance there for Anaheim to jump up if Chicago is able to get even a point out of tomorrow night's game. I don't think that happens. I do think Detroit wins tomorrow. Man, it's going to be some tough sledding for Chicago for the next couple months here.
Especially with Kane and Taves out, they have not a lot to be excited about. Sorry, Joel. But also not sorry. You got your 3 cups.
Yeah, he's good. He's got 3 cups to cry into that can collect his tears. The Minnesota Wild plus 105 at the Winnipeg Jets minus 125. This one just money line is a straight up pick 'em here.
Like that.
Minnesota in action tonight as they
Why
host
did I
the
turn that
Calgary Flames. They do make the quick trip up to Winnipeg for tomorrow's game. Winnipeg is off tonight.
This is tempting because Winnipeg. How has Winnipeg been doing? Again, I
They
don't
have also not been
stats in
doing
front of
well.
me.
2-6-2
That's
in
what I
their last
thought.
10. Something like 3-10-3 in their last 16 or something. They've really
we go.
cooled off from where we thought they were a couple weeks ago.
2-6-2 according to the NHL website.
Yeah.
My laptop is finally working.
Oh, hey, how about that?
Yeah, look at that. So 2-6-2. What?
Yeah, finally getting into the end of the show here, at least the back half of things.
Right.
I feel like if we give you 2 minutes for roughing tonight, which you're certainly welcome to, you could rail against the tech difficulties we've had tonight.
Well, again, my laptop is from 2011, so
there's that.
It deserves to get cranky. The Wild have been super hot. Let's see, what is it? 8-1-1 in their last 10 on a 4-game win streak. So it's scary for me as a Minnesota fan to pick them because I know what happens when I do. But I also can't in good conscience pick Winnipeg because they've been so bad. And like you said, plus money. We love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with the Wild. I think they're. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think their trade at the guys they brought in for trade, Klingberg and Johansson, and I'm excited to see Sundqvist play tonight. I haven't really watched him, so don't know what to expect from him. So I think they'll contribute in good ways. So Wild.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that the Wild are playing a back-to-back and Winnipeg is not, I would take Minnesota. If the game was in Minnesota and the Wild didn't have to travel on the second leg of a back-to-back, I would be much more convinced to take Minnesota. But you throw all of those factors in, it does make this one a lot tougher to pick and kind of swings things back in the Jets' favor a little bit. Winnipeg has been very good at home this year, 21-10-2. But the Wild 15-11-4 on the road, so they figured out a way to get points. Right. I think Minnesota is going to be the puck line. They'll get the plus 1.5, but that swings all the way up to minus 225. So you're not really picking up a ton of betting value there. I think the betting value is with Minnesota, but as far as picks go, I got to do it. I'm still going to take Minnesota, but
let's go.
That's the one
pick.
of these three.
Homer pick.
The one of these three that I feel least confident in heading into tomorrow's game. And then the final game of the night, the Anaheim Ducks plus 1.5 goals at minus 130 at the Vancouver Canucks minus 1.5 goals at plus 115. HP, who you got in this one? By the way, I love the sponsorship elements that you have going on tonight because we don't have sponsors on this show, but you're rocking the Canes hoodie. You got the Buffalo Wild Wings cup going. We need some sort of a chicken / chicken wing sponsorship for this show.
A chicken wing sponsorship. What did I miss? Sorry.
I was just commenting on how you've got the Canes hoodie on. You got the Buffalo Wild Wings cup. We don't have a sponsorship for the show, but we could certainly use a chicken wing sponsor in some capacity. So
Raising Cane's, sponsor me, please.
Hit us with the sauce.
I had Cane's today. It was wonderful. And then the Buffalo Wild Wings cup.
There you go. Ducks and Nucks going at it tomorrow night. Who you got in that one?
Am I back?
Yep, you're good.
Yep. Okay. All right. Sorry for the people again. Go chicken wings. I'm all for that. Let's see. Anaheim's still not playing very good hockey. What are they in their last whatever?
Last 10,
4-4
they're
and 2.
4-4-2.
Okay, so not terrible. Oh, they're ahead of the Sharks. Okay.
Yeah, they snuck past the Sharks because they, by point percentage, they have the game in hand.
True.
But they'll slide back down once that evens up if the points stay the same.
And
then Vancouver is
Canucks,
7 points clear of Anaheim.
Yeah, not much better. I think I'll take the Canucks. That plus money, and I mean Anaheim had. I mean Vancouver again. Vancouver hasn't been much better.
Yeah, Vancouver.
God, I would.
Banged up.
Sorry. I keep it.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Nope. Sorry.
You're good. Go for it.
Let's see. I wish Zegras was. I mean, I love Zegras as a player, and I wish he could have a decent team around him because he could be fun to watch if he had a good team around him.
If they're able to put Bedard, Zegras, Jamie Drysdale,
Troy Terry,
you put that line on the ice. That's one of the better starting fives once you get everybody there in the league. If you pull that off, and just as far as fun hockey to watch, the way that all of them play,
exactly.
But yeah, I think Bedard. I've resigned myself to the fact that he's going to Chicago, whether I want it to happen or not.
I know,
and that the Coyotes
hate it so much.
I'm going to throw this one out there right now as well. Arizona gets the number 2 pick in the draft, and they'll go with Matvei Michkov out of Russia instead of Adam Fantilli. Just looking at how many centers they have in their ranks right now, looking at the fact that they can wait a couple years before Michkov comes over to North America to play. They can kind of let him continue to grow in Russia. It would not surprise me at all if Arizona gets the number 2 overall pick, and that's where Michkov goes. While we work to try and get HP back here, working through some technical difficulties, I'm going to go with the Vancouver Canucks for Wednesday night picks. I think getting Jacob Markstrom back is going to be very beneficial. Oh, what? We got you back.
I saved it. That just kicked me out.
Yep. Yeah, we got you back now. We should be good. I was just saying getting Markstrom back and healthy kind of stabilizes things a little bit on the back end. I don't think that Anaheim is going to be able to get up the requisite number of shots to keep pace and really test Markstrom. I would be surprised if the Ducks score more than 2 goals tomorrow night. I think probably 1 goal on Markstrom you get, but I would be surprised with anything more than 2. And Vancouver, they moved out some of their defensive pieces, but the big difference for me is Vancouver has 213 goals for on the year. Anaheim has 161. So they've got him by 52 goals on the year. And Anaheim has only allowed 11 more goals. So I just don't see how Anaheim gets the offense to keep pace with the Canucks. I'm going to go Canucks minus 1.5 in this one.
Yep. I agree. Canucks.
So for recapping our Wednesday night picks, we both are taking the Vancouver Canucks. We both are taking the Minnesota Wild. HP is taking the Chicago Blackhawks, and I am going with the Detroit Red Wings. HP, do you want to try and do 2 minutes for roughing? Or I know we've had some technical difficulties during the show. We may just want to skip it. But if you had something you wanted to pop off about, definitely wanted to give you the floor for that opportunity as best we can here.
I don't have anything specific, so if you want to do it, I'd hand it over to you because I don't have anything specific. Joel took mine last week with the pitch clock. I am very against that pitch clock.
Oh yeah, Manfred needs to go.
Yeah, that needs to stop.
Had I thought about it, I would have, knowing that you were going to be on the show tonight, I should have switched into the Fire Manfred shirt.
The fireman. Yeah, the fireman.
Yeah, it's in the other room. I
love
can't
that
run
one.
and go grab it now.
That's all right.
But yeah, I should have worn that one tonight.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go ahead and call it a penalty-free show. No 2 minutes
A
for roughing this week.
penalty-free show.
Yeah, it's only the second one we've done.
I could spend 2 minutes laughing at Diamond Sports Group in Bally because they're going bankrupt, and you know how much that makes me happy. So.
Oh yeah, that was I think
Consider
your 2 minutes for roughing when we had you on.
It was
right about this time last year too.
Yeah, which is funny. So I told everybody they were no good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you were right. You nailed it.
Yeah.
That is it for tonight's episode of Pod Snipe Celly. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on Twitter at Pod Snipe Celly. You can search on Facebook there as well. And we are going to be migrating this show to our new YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/@PodSnipeCelly, find us there, click the subscribe button there. We really appreciate that support as well as we kind of try to grow the Pod Snipe Celly channel across the board here. So please, like, subscribe, follow there, and on Twitter and Facebook as well. That is it for tonight's show. We will be back next Tuesday with more NHL content. For Joel, who isn't here, for HP, who is, my name is Dan Bradley. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.
Good night.